Thank you. All right.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited for this event. Thank you all for joining. We have quite the lineup, and it's coming to you from Napa, and we are partnering right now in this event with the Northern California chapter of International Association of Exhibition and Events, and we're the Southwest chapter too. So we have two chapters of International Association of Exhibition and Events. I know that there are some non-members. Welcome. You're all welcome. And we're gonna have some wine tasting. We're gonna get great tips. We have a wonderful musician, and we have a great chef with an awesome recipe that I already tried. So I'm really excited to bring this to you. I'm gonna give you a quick, really brief bio of everybody, and then we're gonna kind of wing it and go into the winemaker, who I will introduce to you in a second, but let me at least go down the list to give you a little bit of background of our exciting guests right now. So Bouchaine Winery, thanks so much for hosting. And I'm going to introduce to you in a little while, Brian Allard. He's the direct-to-consumer director. And Brian is originally his early days were from Vermont, and he used to be in the golf world, and he was in restaurants and hotels. And so now he is, has 20 years later, managing, traded his, he was in the fashion industry too, and traded in all of that to jump into the wine industry. And here he is at Bouchaine Winery. We also have Bouchaine's musician that they invited today, Stephanie Orez. And Stephanie is a pianist and a performer, a piano teacher, composer, band leader, and she specializes in Brazilian jazz. And I can't wait to hear all about what Brazilian jazz is. And she holds a classical performance degree from the University of Michigan School of Music. And Stephanie has graced the Healdsburg Jazz Festival stage with Grammy-winning Brazilian jazz vocal legend, Lenny Andrade. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Stephanie, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. And she recorded with Lenny and toured with Lenny as well. So we're going to also be visited by Chef Lisa Cameron. Chef Lisa actually has some interesting tidbits for all of us to pivot into some new ideas that I know that we all would like to listen to later on. It's one of my questions for her, because late in life, she decided to become a chef and follow her dream. And so she moved to her favorite area in the world of Sonoma County, and she attended culinary school in Sonoma County, and she decided to become a private chef. She now works in Sonoma, Napa, and she really enjoys the local bounty of Northern California area, as well as sourcing unique gourmet items from all over the globe. And she loves to create tapas and fine meals. And she also likes to teach young people cooking skills and how to enjoy food while staying healthy. So those are some of the people that you're going to be visiting with today. And right now, however, I want to turn it over to Chris Kajani, the winemaker from Bouchaine. Let me highlight Chris here.
Hi.
Let me spotlight you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
There we are. Beautiful.
It's so exciting to be doing this event with you. Welcome to Bouchaine Vineyards. That's literally our estate right behind me that the sun is sitting on. We have 100 acres here in the southern part of the Napa Valley in what they call the Carneros region. There's actually a hillside at the end of our vineyard that looks right across the bay to the financial district in San Francisco. You can see Twin Peaks in San Francisco, the tallest peak. You can see Mount Tamalpais, which is on the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge. Really a lovely spot. And we hope one day we will be open again and we can invite all of you out to come see us. My name is Chris Kajani. I'm the winemaker and general manager here. And Brian Allard, our DTC director, asked me to talk about some of the wines that we make. I know not everyone has the wines, and that's fine, but I'll just give you a little preview into what we're doing. It's a bit breezy here today, so don't mind me with my fuzzy coat on. Okay, we have this gorgeous 2018 Hyde Vineyard Chardonnay. We've been sourcing some fruit from Hyde Vineyard for 6 years now. And Larry Hyde was the grower of the year with the Napa Valley Grape Growers this year. He planted his vineyard about 40 years ago and is kind of known to be the king of Carneros. He's such a fabulous gentleman and such a gentleman farmer. I like to call him my virtual boyfriend. I just love Larry. He's so phenomenal. And so we make a bit of Chardonnay off of their property, just as something fun and different. It's really known to be very mineral driven. It's the Old Wenty clone, which has what they call hens and chicks. So imagine hens are big fat berries and chicks are tiny little berries. So the skin to juice ratio is a little different. And that extra kind of skin ratio on those little berries gives you a wine with a lot of tension, a lot of minerality. It makes a really fun Chardonnay. So we do a little bit of that. The other wine that Brian pulled out is our Pinot Meunier. Pinot Meunier is really interesting. It's kind of a kissing cousin of Pinot Noir, a little more on the savory side. And Meunier means miller in French. A miller is like a baker, somebody who uses flour. And these Pinot Meunier grapes, as they're growing in the beginning of the season, the shoots start to grow and those shoots look like they've been dusted with flour. Like you literally took handfuls of flour and just threw them over the vines. And so that's how Pinot Meunier got its name. It has this whitish silvery cast across the leaves and the new shoots when it's growing early in the season. Kind of fun. And then we also pulled out another Hyde Vineyard. We pulled out the Hyde Vineyard Merlot. So for those of you that have been through the Merlot saga, let me tell you, a cool climate Merlot can be just one of the most beautiful things. It's like going to the farmer's market and eating fresh plums. So fresh and so lovely. There's a lot of beautiful acidity out here in Carneros because we're right on the bay and we have these breezes that you can see right now. A lot of fog that comes through in the morning and these breezes in the afternoon and more fog in the afternoon. And so it lends itself to a lot of acidity in the wine, a lot of energy in the wine, things that are very food friendly because that acid in the wine is what cuts through butter and fat and all the delicious things in food. And that pairing is what sends us all to the next level when we're eating and drinking. So this Hyde Vineyard Merlot is one of those cool climate wines that's just really spicy and like all this beautiful fresh fruit, something really, really fun. We also here on our property focus on Pinot Noir. So we're planted about half and half to Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir being Pinot Meunier's kind of kissing cousin. And out here, we're known for bottling a lot of the Pinot Noir by clone. And so we bottle the Swan clone and the Pommard clone and the Dijon clone. We just planted a little bit of Mount Eden and Calera and 828. We have all these different clones out here. And for those of you across the country, you may have seen our estate Pinot Noir, which is a blend of clones, or we have all these separate bottlings of specific clones and specific blocks that are really small. They're like 300-400 cases, mostly for wine club, but kind of fun to take a look at. And it's interesting because Pinot Noir is one of the most ancient grapes and has a lot of variation just due to genetic changes over time. And so the Swan clone, for example, will have a bigger cluster and taste like incredibly fresh red fruit like raspberries. And the Pommard clone will be a looser cluster and be very plum driven, kind of like this Merlot, very plum driven, blue fruit driven. And it gets this gorgeous mocha note as it ages. So you get like almost like this dark chocolate, really sexy mocha note. So all those clones are a little bit different, which is why we bottle them separately. We do love to throw people in our vineyard truck and go out to the terraces, like I was saying, that overlook the bay. And so as you all may or may not have heard, Napa has closed all indoor tastings at this point, and we've been closed this entire time. But we will open again. We have this gorgeous terrace. We have this beautiful property. We have Brian, who's our incredible sales director and loves to do events and loves to show people a good time. And so we cannot wait to get past this winter and into 2021, where we can host you here and throw you in our vineyard truck and show you a little more about what we do. So I would like to propose a toast to all of you. Thank you for having Bouchaine host your event, and we very much look forward to hosting you in person sooner rather than later. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Chris. This is amazing.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Way to go, Stephanie. And I put Stephanie's website email address in the chat box. And there's two quick things that I wanted to tell you all. If you have questions, my co-hosts, Landon Shores and Paul Trainer, will be checking the chat as well. Thank you, Landon, and thank you, Paul, for all that you do. And we have two people that I know of so far that are going to be cooking along. So I want to introduce to you somebody that I've known for a very long time and look up to in my life, Miss Chef Lisa Cameron. And I cooked her dish last night, so I've social media out my photo of that dish. It doesn't look as good as what she could do, but
oh, I bet you did.
Lisa.
All right, hello. Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm. It's your turn.
Okay, hello. Thank you for having me, Erica. I'm super excited about this. So I'm just gonna go right into the recipe, okay? So we're doing a beef Wellington galette. So I chose this recipe because it's good. It's kind of decadent. You know, it's great for the holidays. We wanted to do an appetizer that went with a festive setting for Christmas or Thanksgiving. And, you know, you can change it to suit your needs and to the things that you enjoy. So I'm gonna go right in. I'm gonna start with a puff pastry sheet. If you have pizza dough or pie dough, that would be fine. But I chose puff pastry because it's more decadent to me and it flakes up and it's beautiful and crispy. So you can get it like this, it's already rolled out, or you can get it rolled this way and you can roll it out with a rolling pin to your desired thickness, okay? So just gonna spray the pan. If you don't have a cookie sheet or a pizza pan like this, take something like this, a cookie sheet or something similar, turn it over, spray the back of it like it was, you know, a regular pan, okay? So we're gonna take this off, make sure it's colder than probably what this is. The colder, the better. Comes right off, and I'm just gonna lay it in here.
Hey, Chef, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I bought phyllo dough.
Okay.
Does that work? Am I good?
Well, that's another animal, a little bit. The finished product is very similar to this, but it's a lot of work to get it to turn into puff pastry because you have to do the work that's already done here. So this is already layered with the butter inside. So with phyllo, you're going to be brushing put another layer, rushing it, put another layer. So it's a chore.
I'll wing it.
Okay, I have
Steve
a
always
question.
has to be the
I
rebel.
got pie dough. I got the pie dough. Can I use a pie pan or do I need to use, I don't have a pizza pan.
Okay. So the flatter, the better. Okay.
Oh,
With a pie dough, it's a lot more versatile. Okay.
Cool.
Because of all the butter that's in here, you want to keep all the moisture out. So the flatter, the better, the lower the sides, the better.
Oh, okay,
Okay, but
cool.
with a pie dough is a little more forgivable than the puff pastry.
Oh, good.
Okay, but it works. It works just fine. Pie pan,
Thank you.
but not a really deep dish pie pan. Okay.
No, I'll just use it. I'll use I've got plenty of baking sheets, so I'll just use
Yeah.
one of them.
There
right.
you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to take the Dijon mustard. I love mustard, so I put it on kind of heavy. And you don't really taste it as mustard on the finished product. You just taste the deliciousness at the end. So just brush it on, not worrying about it. Okay. There. Then you're going to take some prosciutto, okay? Relatively thin. It's kind of difficult to get the butcher to do it exactly how you want it, but you can overlap it to make it to the thickness that you like. So some of my pieces are thicker because I had to stop him and start him over again. And, you know, I love prosciutto, so I hated to waste it. So I said, hey, put that in too. It's thick, but I want it. So we're going to use it. We use everything, right? Kind of trim it to the size of your pie dough. Put it in there, just kind of layer it. Layer another one, leaving the edges kind of open because we're going to turn them up at the end, okay? And kind of like that, all right? Then we're going to take some fresh thyme, put some thyme down there. If you have dried thyme, that's fine. Use about half as much though, because it's pretty strong. Sprinkle it in there. Take out the stems. I just picked this from the garden, so it's not really trimmed as nice, but you get the idea. All right, then you take your Gruyere cheese. If you don't like Gruyere, I don't know why you wouldn't, but never know. Or you don't have any on hand, use the cheese that you like. Make sure it's not too wet though, because there's a lot of moisture in the puff pastry dough. And put it on generous, but not too thick, okay? Then we're gonna do our steak. A lean steak is what you wanna use because you don't want the fat running down into your delicious galette, okay? So you want it pretty lean. If you like ribeye, that's fine, but a leaner ribeye, I prefer filet mignon. And you don't need a lot. This is just 1 8-ounce steak, and you don't really need the whole thing. But if you want it meaty, go ahead and dial it in. And it's here. We might as well use it, right? Trim it a little bit. Like that. Then here are the mushrooms. So I cooked these in advance because I knew we wouldn't have time. So the mushrooms are sauteed with the shallot, the butter, the garlic, and fresh thyme, okay? And you want to saute it till all of the liquid is gone. It's completely absorbed, okay? So I did not strain this at all, okay? That's the way it should look because you don't want to sog out your puff pastry dough. Okay, so we're gonna generously pile that in. And this is a combination of mushrooms that I have here. Use the kind that you like. I was being filmed today, so I bought the fancy stuff. And I also bought some standard stuff too to mix it in. A couple pounds, some chanterelles, some baby bellas, some oyster mushrooms, just a combination. Okay, so you want to pile that in, make sure I didn't forget anything. And don't worry about it going too high because it kind of shrinks down a little bit. And kind of spread them out to the ends, just a little bit. All right.
Hey, Lisa,
Yes, ma'am.
I remembered as I was putting that together, it was like 2 inches tall. And I was thinking, holy crap, this is
Yeah,
like a
sure.
lot of stuff. And thank goodness you said to me on the side, well, this is like a pie, you know? And
Mhm.
so I wrapped the edges around it and it did shrink down.
Yeah, it
And
shrinks
the
down.
most important thing was I cooked my mushrooms with wine, with white wine.
That's right.
And it took me a lot longer to evaporate all of the ingredients. And that was the key thing that I think you
Mhm.
mentioned to me is make sure everything's
Right.
evaporated.
Yes, right. So if you like wine in it, which I do, of course you do, just make sure you evaporate it down to no liquid left. Okay. So if you want extra butter, no problem, but reduce it down. Okay. So pile it up, and it's a rustic pie. So don't worry if it's not perfect looking, you know, it's okay. And so then just kind of fold it up. Okay. Fold it over. It's going to loosen a little bit because it's not really cold, okay, like it should be. Turn it. Just kind of tuck and roll. Tuck and roll. Don't worry if it's not perfect on one side, it's different on the other side, it's okay. Okay, it's character of the galette dough, of the galette pie. Okay.
We have a question in the chat asking, can you substitute red wine for white wine if you're
Absolutely. Yes, you can. Whatever wine you like, just reduce it down. Okay, gives lots of flavor. Any kind of wine you decide you want to use. Okay, so I like white wine because it doesn't color my mushrooms red. Okay, so keep in mind, if you use red, your mushrooms are going to turn red. So if you don't want that look, that's an option for you. So you're already finished. All you need to do is brush it. Oh, I got to rinse this. Excuse me. Take the mustard off of that. So you want to take some egg wash, okay, and just brush it. So you get that glossy finish. And we're just going to brush it all along. Some of this egg will cook on the side of the pan because it drips down a little bit, but that's okay. And I like egg yolk the most because it gives a better color at the finish. And just brush it generously. Again, don't worry about how neat it is or any of that. It's a rustic pie. You can fill this with almost anything you want as long as it's not too wet. Okay? Keep forgetting to look up. And then
you put the cheese on top, more cheese, right? I'm a cheese lover.
More cheese.
More cheese.
And more cheese. And you want to sprinkle also the dough with a little salt for that little glistening, right? You want to sprinkle that a little bit. The salt and pepper, by the way, is inside here with the butter, the thyme, again, the wine, if that's what you want to use. And then a little cheese on top again. And a little fresh thyme at the very end. If you want to wait and take the time to do it when it's halfway done, that's fine. But I find that it really doesn't burn because it doesn't take very long to cook this. Everything is cooked here except for the dough. Okay, so it takes about 30 minutes at 400. And with puff pastry, you want to do about 400 degrees. If you have a pie dough, maybe a little bit lower is okay, but you want to cook puff pastry a little quicker, okay? Sprinkle it with fresh thyme or dried thyme if that's what you have. And voila.
Sorry, what did you say if I'm doing the pie dough, what to cook it at?
375 would be probably fine with a pie dough. But this needs to cook a little bit faster because of the butter that's involved in here.
Right, right. And the meat again is
How
not
about the
supposed to be cooked, right?
Oh, go
Say
ahead.
again? I didn't hear her.
The meat is supposed to be cooked, right? Or not
The
cooked?
meat is
Supposed to be
raw.
cooked? Good.
The meat is raw, so it's cooked.
Double checking.
Say again?
Double checking, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt it, but it would be maybe a little overcooked. There's a lot of moisture in here, so it's not going to dry out on you.
Okay, cool.
You know, there's that cheese and those mushrooms with the, you know, if you want olive oil or butter or both in there, it's not going to dry out on you, but raw is probably better.
Okay, cool. No,
So-
no, that's what mine are. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you
Chef,
bet.
Hey, Chef, how about the phyllo dough? I just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, are you using phyllo dough today?
Yeah. So the-
Okay. Did you brush it in between? You finished? You have the finished product already?
I'm good. I'm just gonna throw it in the oven and see what happens.
It's probably going to end up just the same. It's just the work up front. I think is kind of not worth it to get the same thing to happen. But if that's what you have, great,
All right, cool. Ready to
for
go.
sure.
What
Yeah.
temperature for the phyllo dough that he's using? And thank you, Steve and Stephanie, for cooking along with Lisa. That's amazing. And can
Yeah.
we see a photo of your phyllo dough, Steve? We want to see it. Show us.
What am I gonna say? Let me see.
And wait, can everybody see Steve?
Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Hold on. I got all kinds of stuff going on here. Let's see.
Oh, there you go. It looks great. Sure. I'm not real sure how to cook it, but just keep an eye on it at 375, 400, and just, you'll know when it turns brown because again, everything inside is cooked. So you're just cooking the dough to the way that you prefer it. Okay. I have one that's ready. Time to show that
Cecil,
one.
you ready? I'll do a close up to the one that's done.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you want?
Yes.
All right, all right, all right.
You know what? This kitchen looks so beautiful.
Isn't it great? Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So
I love it.
I did make one also today. And are you on me now?
Yeah, I am.
So it's here and it's ready to go. And I baked this one at 400 for about 30 minutes, about 2 hours ago. So as you can see now, I didn't fill it up with the mushroom like I should have. So it's a little bit low. And I thought, I'm going to pile this one up like Erica did. Oh, okay.
Nice job.
Okay. And I mean, this is an appetizer. So you cut it small. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it because I don't know what the inside looks like either. Now, I make a lot of different types of galettes, and I call myself a beef Wellington expert. So I just came up with this recipe. Okay. Yes. Because I make a lot of Wellington. It's a very popular dish for silver anniversaries and things like that.
I love beef Wellington.
And I do a lot of those. So I thought, why not make it into a pie? And so this is what we decided to do.
Now, can you put dessert stuff in a galette?
Oh yeah, sure. Anything you want, as long as it's not too wet.
It's a French thing. Sounds
It
like.
is. Yeah.
Now, Brian, can you explain to us why you chose
go.
the wines that you buy? But by the way, everybody, this is Brian Allard that
Hey,
I
everybody.
gave
Can you
the
hear me?
bio for.
You can hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
I figured when I had the two powerhouses, I got Elisa and I got my winemaker GM Chris. No one needed to hear from me until the finale. Later I'll sing with the band, so don't worry about it.
Uh-oh. Look at it.
There's when I think about this dish, because I love beef Wellington
Oh my
too.
God,
Oh my
it's
God.
so
and you
decadent.
can never find it.
No.
It is
Oh,
terribly
no, you have to
decadent.
make it.
But Chris makes a bunch of Chardonnay. And I think most Americans are aware that Chardonnay can be voluptuous and full-bodied and spicy even. But the real powerhouse Chardonnays that pack a punch like Muhammad Ali, you don't find very often. Our Hyde Vineyard Chardonnay is huge. And it's definitely the kind of thing that would bring out and complement the crust here, but have some beef fortified almost enough to deal with all of that red meat.
That red meat.
And needless to say, I don't have to tell this crowd, the reds we chose, the Pinot Meunier is sort of a savory style, almost like a Pinot Noir in terms of its mouthfeel. Perfect for almost anything, let alone what you've brought. And then once you get to our big bruiser, the Merlot, now you're into almost football player territory. And ironically, it's from the same Hyde Vineyard. So we most everything Bouchaine makes is from our own 40-year-old vineyard. It was planted in 81. And in fact, if you ever come here, the outside of 2/3 of our buildings is lined in the redwood that used to be in the form of redwood fermentation tanks in the building when we got it in 81. We bought it from Behringer, and they used these first growth 40-foot tall redwood fermentation tanks to make wine. But in 81, we planted the vineyard, and so we mostly are a Pinot Noir house. We make Pinot Meunier and Pinot Blanc and all sorts of things, but this required some muscle.
Yes.
And so we chose some wines with muscle, simply put. We make about each one of these wines, 300 cases or less every year. So there you have it.
Sweet, sweet.
It looks really good. Lisa. Oh my God. If you turn your back to me, I'm just going to walk out the door and take all of your food.
I have the knife.
Yeah. Watch out. I run fast.
I think we're going to share. I think that won't be a problem. I think we're going to share.
That looks so good. You know, since we started to do cooking classes, and
can you get that shot there?
Hang on, I'll get the shot.
There you go.
We should have the band to give us a little like a pizzazz to go with it. Yeah. Hang on, I gotta turn them up.
Here we go. All right, there you go. It's a great looking appetizer.
Beautiful. Well done.
There you go. That was great.
I have a couple questions for you.
For me?
Yes, and then we're gonna, and then we have a couple of questions too for Brian and for Stephanie as well. But one of the questions was, does this galette, is it served room temperature or warm, or how do you serve it?
You can serve it room temperature, or you can serve it warm, but cool just a little bit, of course. But room temperature is fine. Probably the best, not cold for sure.
And then also, how many people, Stephanie was asking this earlier, how many people does it serve?
So this is designed to be an appetizer, but it can truly be an entree if you're having a, a dinner party at home, small dinner party. So I would say as an appetizer, maybe 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. You've got dinner coming up. That's pretty heavy. You don't want a big piece.
Woo! Especially if you're using filet mignon. Hello, I couldn't believe you pulled that out.
That's right. That's right. All you need is one.
The cost of the dish went up halfway through the cooking show. Filet mignon.
It's not an inexpensive dish. Nothing is about it is. I mean, the puff pastry dough is, is not. The mushrooms certainly are not. The cheese, the Gruyere, but it's the holidays, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's what they're making.
We've got arteries to fill.
That's right. That's right. We're all talking about how much money we save because of COVID. We don't have a social life.
I know.
So yeah.
I'm up at 2 a.m. buying shoes and stuff like that. I don't know what happened to me.
So I'm not the only one. There you go. Like, what can I buy?
Now I know what I've got to buy ingredients for our next cooking show. Hello.
That's
when
right.
are we doing this again?
That's right. And you can fill it with all kinds of loveliness. You can. I'm very much into savory pies. So, I'm not a sweet person.
I half expect you to break out the pâté or something, cognac infused pâté, something like that.
Right. Yeah. I almost like grind the mushrooms, like the French do, and put it in there that way. And then a little, the whole ones on top. That would have been nice too.
Oh my God.
The Duxelles.
Yeah.
So, but I thought, let's keep it a little simpler.
Well, I'm glad because I'm notorious for having a dinner party and trying new recipes and then screwing them up. So I'm glad to have a new recipe that maybe I have a shot at finally pulling off.
You got a shot.
Now
It's
that any of us can
forgivable.
have a dinner
It really
party.
is forgivable. You can do it. I believe in you. Yeah.
By the way, everyone, I put Lisa's email. It's brunchanytime@yahoo.com in case you ever want to get a hold of her for any type of event. There are a lot of event organizers in this group today and event influencers. And again, I want to shout out to Mary Ellen and Sandy from the Northern California chapter of IAEE who are online with us. So but also we have event organizers that host events they host events all around the world, no matter where they're at. So Southern chapter, for those of Southwest chapter of IAEE encompasses Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. And Northern California chapter is Northern California. So we are the partners today of this event. But again, we have some people that are non-members, and that's great. We invite everybody. And again, we want to, there's tons of questions that are still out there. So I want to send it to Brian for some questions too, because we have some Brian questions and Stephanie questions. But I wanted to shout out to Bouchaine as our sponsor today, and Chef Lisa Cameron as one of our sponsors too. Yeah. And then also Stephanie, the musician. And then we also have our annual sponsors, which is GES, as well as the Anaheim Convention and Visitors Authority, or Bureau. So anyway, I wanted to, one of the questions actually, Chris Meyer has been touting some of your wines, Brian. And Chris Meyer, I'm going to call you out because he's a wine snob.
I love wine snobs.
Me too. Definite wine snob. But I wanted to say, my question is, which kind of, like Chris might know some of your wines, it seems like, based on what I've seen in the chat. But I wanted to say, are you known for? What is Bouchaine Vineyards known for?
Well, I found something out interesting, which is that, if you're in the bulk wine production business and you have a vineyard out in the middle of California, you're going to rip up your vines around 16 years old. That's when they reach the peak of their production muscle. So if you're in the bulk wine game, you're after volume. And if you're in this more snobby or rarefied, poetic side of life, you're into, particular expressions from particular places. Bouchaine is the oldest winery in the southern part of the Napa Valley in Carneros. And this vineyard at this point has to be one of the oldest in Napa Valley. It's 40 years old, a little under 40 years old. And we have three now, I guess, if you include the Hyde Vineyard, which we're so lucky to get fruit out of. We may have our own vineyard, 100 acres. Pinot Noir is the quick answer to your question, where Chris Kajani started her career in Pinot Noir at Sainsbury, came over here and just racked up 91 and 95 and 94 point scores since 2014. And in our vineyard is what fortifies it. You know, it's still shocking to me. You know, if you drive from Bouchaine to Robert Mondavi Winery in the summer, the drive might take you 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, you'll experience a 20-degree difference every single day. Microclimates.
That's
And
right.
it's really, it's so, I grew up in
Amazing.
Vermont. You can drive 5 hours on the East Coast
It's still
and
cold.
yet still cold and still humid, or it's still raining, or it's still
Still
the
wet,
same
yeah.
temperature. And to think that you can drive from here to Point Reyes and the temperature drops in an
Oh.
hour 50 degrees, or you drive into the middle part of the Napa
beautiful.
Valley. So I always tell people we're known for the ballerina wines. Down here in the southern part of the Napa Valley, it's such a it's blessed constantly by just a very delicate breeze, and it makes it perfect for Pinot and less good for Cabernet and the big football player wines. So Pinot Noir on the red wine side by far is our big home run grape, and then on the white wine side, of course, like a lot of places, we have Chardonnay planted, and old Chardonnay. So Bouchaine's story is low yield, and with any luck, the expression of a particular now kind of ancient story from the very southern part of the Napa Valley, the most southern part, our vineyard. If Lisa and I were to walk 15 minutes through our vineyard, we'd end up walking right into the San Francisco Bay. That's how close we are. And so that's what we're known for.
Yeah.
Colder weather climate, slightly more energized and ever so slightly more crisp and
More
delicate
crisp.
wines than the big fat sumo wrestlers you normally get in Napa.
Yeah.
So I know Chris was about ready to leave the meeting. Chris, did you want to say anything? Did you have another question or a comment about Bouchaine wines? Because I know that you're like a total wine geek. Are you there? Is Chris still with us?
Looks like he's packing up his philo.
He's packing up his philo.
Bring it, Chris. If you got anything snobby I can lie about. You know, if I don't know the answer, I mix lies with truth. So I'm just telling you right now.
That's important.
So we're a couple other questions then in the chat is one of the questions.
Lori had asked Chef Lisa, what's your favorite holiday dish?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Well, I have to say beef Wellington. I really do, because it's requested so often, and it took me a long time to get really good at it. And so I just feel like I'm the master at beef Wellington, traditional. And for the holiday, I do make it in the roll, and I put chestnuts inside and I roast them off first, and thicker slices of prosciutto. There is no cheese involved
You're making me hungry.
Wellington. So that really, and that's why I chose this, because it's what I know well, and I always get pat on the back for it. We need that, right?
You sell it so well, Lisa. Just describing it, you make me.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Thank you. Someone did a write-up that went live. I did a beef Wellington for a client's 50th birthday, and it went live in Sonoma County at this company that I work with. And so for a couple of years, everyone ordered it. So it only takes one write-up. And so I studied the best. I studied Gordon Ramsay's recipe, and I just mastered it. And I just thought, this is, we all need something that we're good at, and that's my deal.
Now I have a question. Do you scream like Gordon Ramsay and have the hit? Come on, be honest. You're not on camera. Do you do that at home and tell off people? And isn't he notorious for being?
I love to teach. I really love to learn, but I love to teach too. So I teach people that can't cook, can't scramble eggs. So that's all right.
I can do
don't
that.
yell at people.
Beyond that, I don't have that any more skill set cooking.
I somehow don't believe you.
If you came to a dinner party, you'd know.
But you have dinner parties.
I do, but
See?
they're always bad because I know how to set the table, and then I
knows
don't know how to cook well. It's terrible. Especially beef Wellington, because I love this dish, but you
Well,
can't.
you figure it out. I'll hook you up.
No joke.
Yeah,
But you can't
got
find it in
you.
restaurants, I think, because it takes a lot of preparation, doesn't it? No one really
And
makes
it's
it.
unforgivable.
Yeah.
You can overcook the beef so easily. Yeah, you got to have the right. It takes a lot.
Mm.
So it's my deal, and I'm proud of my little Wellington. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
happy.
You did
I'm so glad.
phenomenal.
So
Mhm.
Brian, we have another question for you.
Yeah.
This leads into something that you wanted to actually talk about, and that is the 2020 of the 2020 vintages. And you and I were talking about how it's affected all wines. It's not just a Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's because of the smoke and silt and all that kind of stuff that has settled. So somebody asked, how is that going to affect the wine industry and wine country?
Well, you guys know that we'll do like a reverse calculation here. You know, making great wine, it's like having 3 empty teacups in front of you, and the fourth one you're soaking whatever tea bag you like. And in the wine business, the tea bag, the leaves in there is like your grape skins. That's how you make red wine. And when you make great wine, the great red wine, you pick up your tea bag, so to speak, and just let it drain over the first cup until it stops. And then over the second cup, you squeeze it a little bit to get more color and a little more body out of your tea. But if you took your tea bag and then after all this is over, on the third cup, you squeezed and pulverized it, just squeezed every last juice out of it, you'd end up with what we would all know, doesn't matter if it's chamomile, doesn't matter if it's black tea, mint tea, anything. That third cup, if you've pulverized the tea bag, is going to be your darkest. It's also going to be, because of the tannin in the grape skins, it's going to be your most bitter. And that stuff is your $5.99 wine. Well, that's probably not even your $5.99 wine. There's a grade lower than this stuff here, but it's probably your $10.99 wine. And that is what all of Napa's most expensive fruit is destined to become. It's going to become the new version of the, to some extent, winemakers right now won't tell you the truth, and most wineries won't either. But I think when it finally finishes out, the news is going to be that there's a lot of smoke influence in the wine. You'll see some mesquite Cabernets, and so what I mean is, through this metaphor, there'll be a lot of intensity. There will be some smoke flavors. Probably if winemakers kind of mix and match it, they might add some sweetness to mask it. But all of the delicacy and all of the high notes of the symphony, the really delicate stuff in the violin will be gone. That's your first cup. And the richness of the cello or whatever, the bass, the middle notes on the piano. When you start talking to Stephanie here, I'll give her my microphone in a second. Those will be gone too. And so, you know, the really fine stuff that we pretend is half marketing, and it is, but there's some reality in the wine business, and it comes from exquisite grapes grown from in very specific vineyards each year with the right sun and all this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, you know, for 6 weeks out of 8, I couldn't go out of my house. We were closed still as a winery because of COVID, but had we stayed open, we would have closed anyway. It was that bad in the Napa Valley, and it was really dicey a little bit. And so it wasn't a great year. And from a direct-to-consumer point of view, I get nervous that with 3 out of the last 4 years being influenced by dangerous fires, how many of our great collectors are going to come for grape harvest for their wife or their husband or their businesses anymore? I think it could be a game changer. We might begin to see much more active visitation in the spring. And so I'm kind of in the back of my mind, once we get out of COVID next year, 2022, I'm interested to see what happens to the traffic in the Napa Valley, and when do people come? I'm intrigued to think it might be different, unfortunately. And you know, every winery is different based on the proximity to the fires. Down here in Carneros, we're probably the luckiest. We're closest to the bay, but even here, we were really you know, infiltrated by smoke. So the news is that the story's out. You know, the full story is not yet in, but basically there'll be some very expensive wines that we all know and love that won't be made in 2020. They'll skip a vintage.
So a couple questions is, it seems like you're set up for success, and you told me this before, that you're set up for success on virtual events way before the pandemic, which is really cool for our meeting planners that are online right now, because they do virtual events right now. We're all pivoting to that. I'm gonna do a whole run of the gamut, because I do want to get to Stephanie, and we only have a few minutes left, although we are going to extend this a little bit past 5 for those that want to stay. So I want it because Stephanie has has a great story herself, the musician. But also, so you have the virtual event there. The issue with the smoke and the dust settling, does that go into and seep into the ground? Does that affect it for a longer period of time, the vineyards? And then also want to, I think both of you can answer this based on what I saw of your bios. And that is, people nowadays in our hospitality industry, sad to say, but it's a reality because of COVID, are wondering how do they take their current, and some of our people that are online are currently working and some aren't. You know, they're in transition or they're waiting and they're seeing what's going to happen with and it's sad because we have people with great experience, but they're wondering how do they take their experience and transition that to maybe a new career. And both of you have done that. And so there's those three questions, I guess. I know that's a lot, but if you could kind of answer those real quickly, that would be great.
Will you go first? Will you do that?
Oh, I can.
Okay.
No, yeah, it is going to be interesting. I went into a new career for different reasons, but I mean, looking on the bright side, there are a lot of restaurants closing down. But hey, listen, that fortunately or unfortunately, there's a lot of opportunity for new restaurants to open up. So there's been people that have always wanted to have a restaurant in the dream, and the market was really saturated with restaurants, and so now we'll get some new energy. That's all we can say. We can look at it and say that that there will be new opportunities for people to open restaurants and new cuisine to come into play and something more interesting to hit the market. And that's the only silver lining that I could see about so many people being out of work and out of business. So it could happen.
From the winery's point of view, I have a slightly different answer. This is the first time in 15 years that small family wineries will have a national voice. We got lucky. I developed this because one of the things that every winery has a problem with is maintaining customer contacts. We meet you while you're on vacation, or you and I have a dinner party here. We meet 100 people, then they go back to New York City or whatever it is. And so I wanted a way to bring tastings back to people's homes all over the country. And then we were positioned before COVID, and suddenly COVID happens, and we're in the Washington Post, and the New York Times, and Fox News, and every AP, and what it's done is, and I don't think the wine business will ever go back. It's introduced our small 15,000 case production family-owned winery to 300 million people who can suddenly now, even grandma knows how to use Zoom and WebEx and Blue Jeans and all of these things. And in 2008 and 2020 reminded me of the same thing. COVID happened in March, 1 week after my birthday. In 2008, it was just faceplant with Bernie Madoff. In 2020, it was faceplant with COVID. I immediately called one of our vendors and said, take away the $10,000 a month tent. We definitely don't need that anymore. I turned the heat off in the building, and that's how middle class I was. But I remembered in 2008 when I owned 3 retail stores and I didn't have anything in any of the retail stores under $600. All I did is custom make $1,000 golf shoes and whatever else, $10,000 coats. And my life forever changed. And I can't say as though it was necessarily happily for the best 24% of the time, but it did bring me to yoga and eventually to the wine business. A small localized market has closed down, really. And what it's brought Bouchaine is 300 million people, a huge national market. And if we were a slightly bigger winery that shipped internationally, I'd have an international market. Sitting here today, while I am hosting this event, and I feel very lucky to do it, I probably have 25 emails that I have to respond to tonight at 10 at night. I cannot hire fast enough. No one has the skill set, in Napa per se. What we need are people like you guys who are used to international, serious business people, CEOs or spokespeople for directors, et cetera, CEOs. And it's a different level of business now that Bouchaine is operating under, and it's an enormous pivot for us, and Bouchaine will never be the same. And I don't think the wine business will ever be the same, by the way, you guys. Even after COVID, somebody on the East Coast is going to know about virtual wine tasting, and they're going to find it fun, and they're going to want to have a dinner party, or some corporation on Wall Street is going to want to get together with their customers around New England or something, or in New York, and they're not going to want to go to a restaurant. And the skill set, actually, that the level of skill required to deal with that kind of customer base is not embedded here per se in the local tasting rooms. It represents the kind of entrepreneurship that you brought to the wine business, to gatherings, to serious business. And we're having a hard time pivoting as a consequence.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a big market. We've abdicated the past. I threw away my 3-year business model, and we are going to finish through 30% above last year, something like that. I was on the road to doubling last year, but given COVID, I'll settle for a 30% increase or a 40% increase. And so there, I guess my short answer is I have a newfound appreciation for how vast and diverse the United States is in terms of the business market and different kinds of people and cultures and the things they're looking for. It's been a very dynamic and exhausting year, I'll say that.
We just got something else in the chat that says from one of our meeting planner members saying we should provide the Bouchaine virtual wine tasting case to our members. So, and Lisa, you should consider also virtual chefing stuff. But we also are, I want to open it up to the members. And I again, I want to thank you to our sponsors for this event, Bouchaine, Lisa Cameron, Chef Lisa Cameron, and Stephanie Orez.
And now, does anyone have any questions for Stephanie before we go to a, because I can give her my microphone. I didn't mic her up, but I can right now.
And also I want to open it up for people to ask generally, because we love to network. We're a networking kind of group. So I do have a couple questions that were already with Stephanie. And I also want to again thank our annual sponsors, which is Anaheim Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as GES, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do right now. So again, thank you, GES and Anaheim Convention and Visitors Bureau. But yes, we do have a couple of questions for Stephanie. And one of to start it off, if you want to give her the mic, we wanted to ask her, how does Brazilian jazz differ from American jazz?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to start by saying thank you to Brian Allard and all the folks at Bouchaine Vineyards for having us. I'm with Peter Barchet, who's our bass player. He's a world-class bass player who I've been playing with for 10 years. So thank you all to all of you as well. And so to answer your first question about how does Brazilian jazz differ from American jazz, great question. It's all about the rhythm. The samba rhythm really comes from Africa mixed with European influence. So here is G and D, a samba rhythm. And what that is, bop, 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 ba, bop, bop. In American jazz, you often hear swing, right? One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the samba. 1, 2, 3. So that's just showing you how taking chords and changing the rhythm takes you to different countries. So ba ba ch ba ba ch ba ba. Whereas American jazz will be da 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 da.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. I mean, that says a lot because I have no clue, but I enjoy jazz so much. And so I guess one of the other questions that it's not my question, it's someone else's question that asks, which famous jazz pianist had the most effect on you?
Wow. Another great question, because there are so many incredible jazz pianists. I grew up in New York City in the 60s, and so I listened to everything. I heard new jazz, I heard Carole King and James Taylor and John Coltrane and Laura Nyro and you name it, right? It was all there while I was studying Bach and Beethoven and Chopin. And before I knew who Bill Evans was, who I adore, I was going to free concerts of Chick Corea and Keith Jarrett. And what I loved about Chick Corea's playing was the classical influence of it, because I was raised as a classical musician. And I heard how he was stretching the harmonies and the rhythms. And then I heard Keith Jarrett, who had this beautiful touch, which is emphasized in classical music, but applying it to jazz. And that just opened my world as a teenager growing up in New York City. There are so many jazz pianists that I adore that it would take probably longer than we have for me to list them. But I would say Bill Evans, Keith Jarrett, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, McCoy Tyner, Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum. They all had brilliant techniques, but great musical ideas that fit into my classical understanding.
Awesome. And by the way, everybody, I put in the chat Stephanie's website for those of you that ever want to book her for anything. And one of the questions, there's two questions actually. One's from Stephanie. Stephanie, I can't pronounce this. Can you chime in?
Yeah, Esquivel.
How do you classify Esquivel?
Esquivel, he was Spanish when you opened with Girl from Ipanema. I kind of just the whole music kind of sounded like him to me a bit with the samba jazz.
Yes, Girl from Ipanema. Good ear, Stephanie.
Well known tune. Great name.
Great name. Yes, that was.
I think Esquivel is more known for he was Spanish, right? And did a lot of the loungy music. Esquivel, I'm
not recognizing that name. Jobim, Antonio Carlos Jobim, wrote Girl from Ipanema and many other songs that you've heard of. One Note Samba that we played was also Jobim. And I do a medley of Chopin and Jobim because as a classical musician, I know that a lot of the Brazilian jazz composers were influenced by some of the great classical composers, such as Chopin, Debussy, Ravel. And so what's wonderful to me and interesting about Brazilian jazz is how it fuses African rhythms like samba, classical music like Chopin and Debussy, and melding that together like no other culture, because it's African plus European plus indigenous, the peoples of Brazil. And I love all music. I play pop. You heard I did Billy Joel, Just the Way You Are. I play Doobie Brothers. I play Beatles. I play Chopin, Bartok, and Brazilian, because to me, it's all about finding the connections and what speaks to people's hearts. And during this pandemic time, it has been a great time of creative introspection and composing. And Peter and I have performed a lot of streaming concerts where we've tried to adapt this new live music genre into relating to an audience that's virtual. So sharing some of the musical interesting things to listen to that we might not be able to do at a live gig where there's lots of noise, but we can do at a live streaming performance, connecting with you, the audience, and sharing those musical connections.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Really cool. Thank you.
And and Stephanie, it's almost like you read some of her website ahead of time. It was funny that you would ask that, because there's like this unbelievable magical story about Stephanie in Rio de Janeiro. And, you know, it speaks to our time because we're all trying to figure out how we come out of this. And, you know, just like I asked Brian and Lisa earlier, like she took an opportunity with perfect timing and some tenacity, and she made this like unbelievable recording happen and was able to then connect with this famous artisan too. And they both just were magical together and were able to tour and do it. And they recorded an album together. So I don't know if you want to briefly talk about that, Stephanie, but I thought that was just an amazing story. Very
Thank you
inspirational.
so much. Thank you for bringing that up. It was an amazing story. It was one of those things that you can't plan. And the reason I relate it to these times in COVID is the life that I've lived as a performing artist has been one of being ready when you're ready. You know, it's like if an opportunity shows up, you just have to go for it. If it disappears, you have to recalibrate. And I feel like as a society, that's what we're all going through, particularly if you're in the events coordination business. How do we create that feeling that you get when you're all together? And what happened in Brazil, I have to give credit to my husband. I had been studying Brazilian jazz with the great Marcos Silva and Jovino Santos Neto, both Brazilians who grew up in Rio playing the music of Jobim. They live in the Bay Area. They have become my teachers and mentors. I had been playing Brazilian jazz. We had to use up some free miles. We went to Brazil. We went to hear Leni Andrade in a little club. She is like the Sarah Vaughan of Brazilian jazz. Okay, she's super famous. She played with Bill Evans. She played with Jobim. Okay, so she is known in Brazil as the diva of Brazilian jazz. We went to a little club to hear her, and my husband said, "We're going backstage and we're going to ask her to record with you." I would never have the guts. He did, she accepted, we recorded. And that couldn't have, we were only in Brazil for 10 days. So this all happened in a short space of time. I brought the template back to Berkeley, to California. I recorded the rest of the CD with Brazilian jazz musicians here in the Bay Area. We brought Leni over to the United States. We headlined at the Healdsburg Jazz Festival and toured all of California. Those kinds of things you can't plan. She heard me, she saw me in person at this club. She took a chance on me. That's the kind of risks that happen when magic happens, when musical magic happens, when wine magic happens, when events happen. You just go out there and you say, this is who I am, this is what I do, let's do something. And so it happened, it was like a dream. I had no time to back out of it. We went to the recording studio, we recorded. I didn't speak Portuguese. Most of the musicians didn't speak English, but we connected through the language of music. And that's what you hear on my CD.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate all these stories. They're very inspirational. And we all need that in this day and age. So thank you. We're blessed. And so I want to then turn it over to, and I don't see any other questions in the chat, but I do want to turn it over back to Brian, and as well as Landon or Paul, if you want to jump in. But before, I do want to ask this. Steve Walker and Stephanie Selesnik have been cooking along with us. Do you guys have your final photos of your image of what you cooked? I want to know.
$1 million question. Everybody's dying to see it.
Yes.
I just sent it out. It kind of fell apart a little bit, but I'll see if I can just bring my computer over
Unmute
to
yourself.
see it. It just came out of the oven.
You
Right.
see mine?
Oh, Steve, there you go.
I don't know if you can see mine or not.
Oh, I
There
see.
you go.
Too,
That looks
Stephanie.
thick. Nice,
Oh,
Stephanie.
wow. Do you guys see that? That's
great.
awesome.
That's a hearty meal.
So
Good job.
the key there is make sure that you get the sides up all the way and tucked in.
Right.
Good to know.
Or, and I did screw it anyway and did it. See, let me see yours again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see
I
Steve's
can't
again.
wait I can't wait till this is over so I can start eating. All right, where is it? Okay.
Very nice. Steve's looks a lot more. Nice.
Oh, look at that pop.
Wow.
Phyllo dough worked.
I like it.
Absolutely.
That was
Steve,
good
you're
too.
amazing.
Steve's is more disciplined with the portion size, but probably not as savory, I would.
I felt
Oh,
good.
I'm not
All the
impressed.
portions that we were given, I think 2 pounds is a little generous. I did 1.5 pounds of mushrooms. And it
Was
took
that
me
enough for you?
almost an hour to cook them down and get rid of the liquid with some wine in it.
Yeah.
took an
That's
hour?
funny you said that, Stephanie, because me and Erica, when we were putting together the
Mm.
scene, is
How
that
much
right?
wine?
1.5 pounds of mushrooms?
You know what?
I
I
just put a bit. It just, all the mushrooms just released a lot of liquid. I did some
Okay, let me
portobello,
give
regular white.
Let me give you a little tip. High heat. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because I literally cooked mine down in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
you know what? I only did 8 ounces. I grabbed the mushroom thing. I wasn't paying attention. I grabbed 8 ounces,
Okay.
put it in there, and
Well,
looks-
you
It
probably
took
got
me-
extra beef in there, right?
So I probably did mine a lot, slow and delicious.
yeah.
Slow and deliberate.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good one.
You got
Well,
the
I did mine.
concentrated flavor.
It took me 30 minutes to cook mine with the wine down yesterday on high heat. It
So I
was,
think on the recipe, next to the recipe thing, I'll put cook at high heat. So,
Cook at high heat. Okay. Good point. Okay.
and also when you give out the recipe again, just let people know if it's supposed to be sliced and cooked or sliced and not.
Okay. Very good.
Erica fortunately let me know that yesterday, but
Yeah.
otherwise, actually, it just takes a little while. It's really not that hard of a dish. You just have to assemble,
Right.
get everything ready
Mhm.
first, and then the assembly. I mean, we did while you were talking, Lisa. So
Okay. Good.
great.
Good. Well, it looks great. Yeah, it's kind of important to saute those mushrooms down and get that water gone. And how much wine did you put in?
I just the quarter cup that you suggested.
Just a quarter cup. Oh, that's a long time to cook down. Ooh, I bet it's delicious though.
I like to cook the mushrooms
A
down.
quarter
the
cup in the
flavor.
dish and the rest of the bottle down Stephanie.
I bet the flavor is
I knew it.
awesome.
I knew it.
I did actually measure it though.
You did or did not?
I did.
Okay.
When I do a recipe I've never done before, I usually use most of the same measurements. I usually double the amount of spice, but that's about it. That's just me.
Well, thanks for the tips because I literally just wrote this recipe. So good to know.
It's really, you guys,
Yeah.
you should try it. It's fun. It just
Yeah.
takes a little while just to have everything ready to go and then put it together. And
Mhm.
it
Plus.
smells amazing.
It's
Decent
impressive
sauce,
to
right,
see
Chef?
though, right? You serve this to your guests and like, oh my goodness, it looks more complicated than it is, right? So
Absolutely. Thank you.
you'll get major points for that. Yeah. Good
That's
for you.
awesome. Stephanie and Steve, thank you so much. You would not believe all the chiding they've been getting in the chat messages. Like,
Oh, good.
I'm not even going to repeat some of it because some of it's a little risque. Like,
You'll tell me later.
can you show me your dough that came from Chris? It's like, that was a little risque.
I think Paul's dog.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Erica.
Oh, very good. Very
Thank you.
good.
guys.
This is fun.
It was great. It's gonna be
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie and Steve. You guys are amazing that you cooked
Thanks,
along.
Erica.
Yeah. Hey,
Now,
thanks, Steph.
I want to turn it over to Brian for some last thoughts. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors today. Brian Bouchaine, Lisa Cameron, Chef Lisa Cameron, Stephanie, the musician, and then also we want to thank our annual sponsors that help us with everything, which is GES and as well as Anaheim Convention and Visitors Bureau. So Brian, you take it away and let me know any final thoughts, and if there's that, we'll let you know.
In a second, I'll hand it over to Stephanie and Peter again to send you out of here with some good jazz. But I just want to say, you know, there aren't many times in business when we can give to our customers. So many times we're asking for their money. And in a normal dynamic, I would be begging all of you for your business. And so when we thought to do this, I couldn't jump on it fast enough. It was a chance to show people our brand new kitchen. Our new visitor center opened 1 month before COVID. No one's even seen this.
Oh,
and
I have.
So when things go back to normal, please know I'm going to be ready to beg for your business again. And if you want wine between now and the holidays, get in touch with me. We'll give you, any of you, 30% off anything you want. And I have a 50% off deal on rosé. So if you need some rosé for your Thanksgiving turkey, call me. But my main theme is we're really honored to have been able to host you, period. And if there's anything else we can do, keep everyone's spirits up, including my own, because when we do this for you, I get to listen to good jazz and I get to eat good food. What more do I want? It's very self-serving, you know? And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to meet you all in person. But if it's okay with you, I'll kick it back to Stephanie and Peter, and we can listen to one last jazz tune if that seems like a good way of ending.
I would love that, but I want to also highlight that Brian was so gracious to give us a discount. And so we advertised that ahead of time, and that was the 50% off of rosé. And I think there was another discount. I forgot, Brian, what did you just say?
Yeah. The main thing is just know this, if any of you need wine, we're going to sell out of our wine this year, but I've got some for you. And just get in touch with me, because we want you, when you're sitting at home, and we're all sitting at home because of COVID right now, we want a glass of Bouchaine in your hands so you remember us. And then, right, you know, hopefully next summer, I'll be delivering a glass of wine to you when you're sitting on our terrace. Please come and visit. It's really a nice spot that we've got going on here. And we'd love to share it in a normal time. And once we get past the holidays or whatever, you guys, if you do something like this again, call me up. We'll have a beautiful spring, and we'll listen to the sound of birds, and we'll have Lisa back, and we'll do, I don't know, omelets in the morning, or is it French toast or
something like that. You know, we are brunch anytime.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So, you know, it'd be a great thing for us. So thank you so much. And it's really a pleasure to meet all of you. I can't thank you enough.
So take your events to Bouchaine if you can, and to Lisa and to Stephanie, the musician. And also I want to thank Brian, because we don't usually ask for any registration fee, but we ask for donations for different causes. And Paul just put in the chat again the cause that we were doing for today, and that was the Napa County Wildfire Giving. So if you have not already given us a donation through the Eventbrite, which that will go to that donation, please look at the link that's in the chat for Napa Valley Fire philanthropy. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, guys.
Very best wishes to all of you too. Stephanie, Peter, take it away, guys.
Yes, thank you guys so much.